if you've ever been shopping before and if you've enjoyed it, I've got some bad news for you, and that is that retail, unfortunately, is dead. So thank you very much. Have a good night. Now, actually, that is the opinion of this guy. This is Marc Andreessen. And for those of you that don't know Marc Andreessen, Marc is one of the co-founders of Netscape Navigator. Do you remember Netscape Navigator back in the day, right? The dark days of the internet. So Marc went on to become one half of Andreessen Horowitz, a very, very powerful venture capital firm, invested in just about every major internet property you can imagine. And he was quoted in a Wired magazine article recently saying, point blank, that software eats retail. Basically, he said, if you're a retailer of any kind, you better close up shop because the internet is basically eating away at retail. And basically, he said, really, software is eating the world. It's eating all businesses. And as you can imagine, there was a bit of debate around that. There were experts on both sides that were sort of debating this whole argument. Is brick and mortar retail really going away? Or are we just sort of in some sort of period of some kind where there's some disruption? I decided to look at the figures that a guy like Marc Andreessen might be looking at. And I have to admit, they're pretty compelling when you look at them. Last year, for example, $1.2 trillion in e-commerce worldwide. Now, if the absolute number doesn't astonish you, $1.2 trillion, what should astonish you is the growth of that number, because it represents a 19% year-on-year increase. So an absolutely astonishing level of growth coming off e-commerce. To put a point on that, over the last holiday season, on Cyber Monday, when everyone is encouraged to go online and buy things, Amazon was actually clocking in at 426 sales per second. Per second. So, say what? Yeah, that's 37 million transactions a day, if you can imagine processing that many transactions. And Amazon actually looks small compared to these guys. Alibaba. Alibaba's the new 800-pound gorilla on the block. They've just gone public in the US. Yesterday, in one day, they sold $6.2 billion worth of merchandise in one day, in what they call Singles Day in China, where everyone goes online and buys. So the challenge now for e-commerce companies is no longer getting us to buy things online. The challenge is getting the things that we're buying to us in a reasonable period of time. So now we see things like this. Google buying startups like BufferBox, digital lockable boxes that can be placed all around the world, and we can pick up our packages day or night, 24/7. We're seeing eBay delivering within 1 hour in major cities. We're seeing Amazon now talking about delivering packages via drone delivery. Everyone laughed at Jeff Bezos when he said that, and the German post office actually beat him to the punch, and they are now delivering some packages via drones in Germany. Amazon, if you get this, Amazon actually applied for a patent for what they're calling predictive shipping. And what that means is they will ship you something before you order it. They will. They will, in theory, they may even ship it to you before you know you want it. Right? But what they're using, of course, is predictive analytics, and they're basically triangulating what your next purchase is likely to be, and then moving that item a little closer to you so that when you do pull the trigger, they can get it to you in potentially half an hour, 40 minutes, that sort of thing. And a lot of this, of course, is being driven by mobile. And it's this connectedness that is really, really becoming a pervasive force in our lives. Right now, there are about 5 billion connected devices on the planet. In fact, I think a little bit more than there are people at the moment. And that is going to swell to about 50 billion connected devices over the next 10 years. And these will be things that we don't expect. These will be pills that we're ingesting that are talking to our healthcare providers. They will be things that we're wearing. We're already seeing the rise of wearable computers. Our cars will be connected. Our homes will be connected. And these, in essence, become 50 billion new consumers on the planet, making it much, much easier than ever before for brands to go direct to retailers. And where does all this lead to? Where does all of this technology and connectedness lead us to? I think it leads us to a place where, as Ray Kurzweil says, the search engines are now always listening. With our permission, search engines will be basically listening constantly to determine our needs and creating an algorithm of our social graph, of our past preferences, of our purchase habits, all of those things coming together to produce recommendations of product from moment to moment based on a very contextual sense of where we are, what we're doing, and perhaps even who we're with.